Annihilation.
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 1 minute at a time.
For the past few years, I've been asked the same kind of questions. I've been asked, who are these marks for? What's wrong with you? Why would you do something like this to yourself? No one ever asked me, who hurt you so bad you felt the need to slice your skin open, just to see the words drip out of your skin. No one ever asked me, who was hurting me enough for me to hurt myself. To everyone else, it was not relevant whether or not I was hurting. It was more relevant to them that I had red marks on my skin, that I was asking for attention. But no one ever realized this was not a call for attention. This was not a cry for help. This is my own coping mechanism. These marks on my arms and my legs and my thighs, they were not for anyone to see but me. Never did I want anybody to see those marks, but everybody had caught a glimpse when I was too tired, when I was too exhausted, in too much pain to hide well. But no, this was not a call for attention. Never did I want attention from that. I wanted someone to see how hurt I was by my face, not my body. I wanted someone to notice the bags underneath my eyes, the puffiness of my face because I had been crying for days and days because of how abused I was by society. For the past 5 years, I was never asked if I was okay. No one was ever concerned about my well-being. They were concerned about the red marks on my skin. They were not concerned with what was happening to me mentally enough for those red marks to show up. I was always asked why I did it, but I could never give a clear answer. I couldn't give a clear answer because if anybody heard what I really meant and heard what I really had to say, everybody would think I'm crazy. I wanted attention, but not from the way I had been receiving it. I did not want anybody to see my arms, for anyone to see my thighs, or for anybody to catch a glimpse of the scars whenever I wore a swimsuit. I wanted someone to ask me if I was okay. I wanted someone to sit me down and tell me that I was going to be okay. I wanted to know I was going to be alright, even if my skin was hurting every day, even if I added to the pain every day. I wanted clarity. I wanted somebody to put the pieces together and notice who's been hurting me. But no one ever noticed. No one ever looked past my skin. No one ever looked past the tired face that stared blankly back at them. That face was me. Nobody believed my story for years until now. Even then, I still hear the complaints and the questions, the intruding, protruding pain dripping from their words. Now that I am better, now I no longer have these red lines to mark me. I must deal with the pain. I must deal with the never-ending scars left to stain my skin. No matter what I do, these questions continue to sting me. Isabella Hopp, Self-Destruction, a slam poem. Lena has joined Ventress in the gate hut near the perimeter fence. It is somewhere before 3 a.m. We begin this minute close on Ventress. Backlit from the left, she pauses in folding her map, and she looks to Lena. Dr. Ventress, you okay? Second 5 angle past Ventress on Lena, and without the map set on the wall, the framing here is deliberately off balance. The left half of the frame is useless darkness. Lena seems not just troubled, but small, sharing the right half of the screen with the barely visible silhouette of Dr. Ventress. Ventress leans down and sets her map down maybe, or picks something up. Lena slowly raises her eyes to make eye contact with Ventress. Ventress stands straight again, and second 10 we are close on Ventress. Backlit, and now holding a cup in both hands. A glitch in continuity. Beat. Ventress looks down at her cup and speaks. This bit of dialogue is not in the script. Dr. Ventress continued. I was going to say when... She looks up, but to her left, not at Lena. As she continues speaking, she scratches next to her nose with her right hand.
You didn't tell the team about your connection to Kane.
I wasn't sure if that was a good idea. By now, Ventress is making eye contact with Lena, who remains out of frame to the left until second 19. Back to the previous angle, Lena off-center, the only thing well lit in all the darkness. Then back to Ventress, her hands and her cup below frame now. Dr. Ventress continued, but after seeing that footage, she turns her head to the left, to the right of camera, and looks into the darkness. Yeah. She turns quickly back to Lena. There is some lens flare at the bottom left of frame. I'm not sure how they would have reacted to you. Beat. Second 31 on Lena again. Lena, why did my husband volunteer for a suicide mission? In the script, there's a different lead-up to the question. After Ventress shows Lena the map and their destination, Lena speaks. Lena, the previous expeditions, were they selected in the same way as this one, from volunteers? Dr. Ventress, yes, they were. Lena, even the soldiers? Dr. Ventress. No one was ordered to go. Lena meets the doctor's gaze. Lena, then I have to ask, why did my husband volunteer for a suicide mission? Smash cut back to Ventress. Dr. Ventress pauses. The way is to the destructive element to submit yourself, and with the exertions of your hands and feet in the water make the deep, deep sea keep you up. In the script she asks, why would I have an answer to that question? In the film she asks,
is that what you think we're doing?
Committing suicide? A strange question from Ventress. In the film it has only been 3 years since the Shimmer was born at the lighthouse, but numerous expeditions have entered and only Kane has ever walked back out. In the script, but not in the film, Ventress specified 23 expeditions, 113 men and women. On the one hand, there is a sort of irony here in that she is being asked about the suicide mission in regards to the one individual who did not die within the Shimmer. But on the other hand, of course, it is a suicide mission. Lawrenson was chosen because she is an alcoholic, Raddick because she cuts herself, Shepard because she grieves for a dead daughter, Lena because she ruined her marriage and lost her husband. We do not yet know about Ventress's cancer, though in the script cancer has been mentioned a few times by now. We do not know much about Lena's childhood. In Vandermeer's novel, the biologist's parents are not the most stable people, from what little we know of them. She explains, quote, my mother was an overwrought artist who achieved some success but was a little too fond of alcohol and always struggled to find new clients, while my dad, the underemployed accountant, specialized in schemes to get rich quick that usually brought in nothing. Neither of them seemed to possess the ability to focus on one thing for any length of time. Sometimes it felt as if I had been placed with a family, rather than born into one. End quote. In Psychology Today, 6 December 2015, Peggy Lee Wupperman, Ph.D., explains the possible origins of self-destructive behaviors in childhood. Quote, self-destructive or dysregulated behaviors provide relief or even pleasure in the short term, but ultimately get in the way of living a life that feels satisfying and fulfilling. These behaviors can include alcohol/drug abuse, binge eating, compulsive computer gaming, self-injury, smoking, chronic avoidance, or a host of other behaviors that feel helpful in the moment but harmful over time. People who struggle with dysregulated behaviors can differ dramatically but tend to share some common traits. The following description is oversimplified. It might not fully apply to you, but it provides a general idea. If you struggle with dysregulated behaviors, you probably were born with a tendency to feel emotions a little more strongly than other people do. This is not a negative trait. In fact, you are likely to be more creative and/or empathic. Unfortunately, you also may have grown up in an adverse or invalidating environment. Adverse environments it may include extreme experiences such as physical abuse, neglect, or continuous criticism. Routine experiences with family members who discourage expression of emotions or use dysregulated behaviors to cope with their own emotions. Experiences outside the home, such as bullying at school, abuse by another caretaker, routinely being excluded by other children, etc. If you were born with a tendency to feel strong emotion, and you were routinely put in situations that would be emotionally painful for anyone, then the pain probably started to feel unbearable at times. Chances are high that you eventually tried to turn off the pain. At first you may have told yourself, I'm just going to try not to feel, or I'm just not going to think about it. But over time, you probably felt like you needed additional help with turning off painful emotions, and so you resorted to one or more dysregulated behaviors. End quote. A study by Vanderkolk, Perry, and Herman, published in the American Journal of Psychiatry, December 1991, concluded, quote, childhood trauma contributes to the initiation of self-destructive behavior, but lack of secure attachments helps maintain it. Patients who repetitively attempt suicide or engage in chronic self-cutting are prone to react to current stresses as a return of childhood trauma, neglect, and abandonment. Experiences related to interpersonal safety, anger, and emotional needs may precipitate dissociative episodes and self-destructive behavior. End quote. We never learn in the novel or the film what precipitated Lena's affair specifically. There might not even be a specific trigger. Life is not often as neat as that. But for whatever reasons, she and Kane ended up in the military, ended up together as a couple, ended up married, and they ended up in a lifestyle that did not fit with either of their personalities as they were at the time. Whether Kane neglected Lena by continuing to go on missions, or Lena neglected Kane by separating herself from the military to teach, one promoted the other, and the vicious cycle led them both to volunteer for the same suicide mission a year apart. That the film follows Lena simply means that we have a slightly better understanding of her motivation, but it does not mean that her motivation has more inherent value, or, alternatively, that hers is inherently more self-destructive. We can take her impulse to fix her damaged husband as a positive impulse, or we can take it as her attempt to make up for damage she has caused to their marriage. The results are the same. Second 40 on Lena. Lena, you must have profiled him, you must have assessed him. You must have said something. On Ventress, second 45. She looks down. Dr. Ventress, so you're asking me as a psychologist. She raises her eyes and we are on Lena again, second 49. Lena, nodding. Yeah. Beat. Then back to Ventress, second 52. Dr. Ventress, then as a psychologist, I'd say you're confusing suicide with self-destruction. Regarding destructive impulses, Edward Glover has this to say in War, Sadism, and Pacifism. Quote, investigations carried out by psychoanalysts on neuroses and several forms of insanity have shown that behind these illnesses are to be discovered serious disorders of the sexual impulse, taken in the broadest sense, and serious disturbances of the mechanisms controlling aggressive or destructive impulses. These facts correspond with the classification of instincts into two main groups, viz., appetitive and reactive. Broadly speaking, the human mind begins to crack when it is unable in some way or another to master its destructive impulses, its sexual impulses, or any important fusion of destructive and sexual impulses. End quote. Lena's own self-destructive impulses we saw in minute 30 led to an extramarital affair with Daniel, definitely fitting Glover's description. A sexual impulse twisted together with a destructive one. We've returned to Lena, but before Dr. Ventress can continue her thoughts on self-destruction, time runs out for this minute.
We spoke. What was it we said?
Wordlessly watching, he waits by the window and wonders at the empty place inside.
Annihilation is all we are.
Annihilation.